Hey there, friends. Pastor Jason here. Glad you could join me for daily devotionals. We're back in Deuteronomy. Don't forget, this is Moses' last hurrah, right? Back in Numbers, the Lord told Moses he was going to die up on the mountain, and he instructed him. And now Moses has come, gathered all the people together. He's given them a brief summary of what their life has been in the wilderness, and now he's re-instructing them, giving them, and also giving them further instruction from the Lord about how to live properly in the land that the Lord will bring them to, not Moses. Joshua's going to take over. Here we are. We're in Deuteronomy 5 and 6. Moses is continuing his instruction to the people of Israel. Deuteronomy 5, Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 1, Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, Israel, listen to the statutes and ordinances I am proclaiming as you hear them today. Learn and follow them carefully. The Lord our God made a covenant with us at Horeb. He did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with all of us who are alive here today. The Lord spoke to you face to face from the fire on the mountain. At that time I was standing between the Lord and you to report the word of the Lord to you, because you were afraid of the fire and did not go up the mountain. And he said, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the place of slavery. Do not have other gods besides me. Do not make an idol for yourself in the shape of anything in the heavens above, or on the earth below, or in the waters under the earth. You must not bow down to them or worship them, because I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the father's sins to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing faithful love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commands. Do not misuse the name of the Lord your God, because the Lord will not leave anyone unpunished who misuses his name. Be careful to remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy as the Lord your God has commanded you. You are to labor 6 days and do all your work, but on the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You must not do any work. You, your son or daughter, your male or female slave, your ox or donkey, any of your livestock, or the foreigner who lives within your gates, so that your male and female slaves may rest as you do. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out of there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. That is why the Lord your God has commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live long and so that you may prosper in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not give dishonest testimony against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's wife or desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male or female slave, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. The Lord spoke these commands in a loud voice to your entire assembly from the fire, cloud, and thick darkness on the mountain. He added nothing more. He wrote them on 2 stone tablets and gave them to me. All of you approached me with your tribal leaders and elders when you heard the voice from the darkness, and while the mountain was blazing with fire, you said, Look, the Lord our God has shown his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice from the fire. Today we have seen that God speaks with a person, yet he still lives. But now why should we die? This great fire will consume us, and we will die if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any longer. For who out of all mankind has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the fire, as we have, and lived? Go near and listen to everything the Lord our God says. Then you can tell us everything the Lord our God tells you. We will listen and obey. The Lord heard your words when you spoke to me. He said to me, I have heard the words of these people. These people have spoken to you. Everything they have said is right. If only they had such a heart to fear me and keep all my commands always, so that they and their children will prosper forever. Go and tell them, return to your tents, but you stand here with me, and I will tell you every command, the statutes and ordinances you are to teach them, so that they may follow them in the land I'm giving you to possess. Be careful to do as the Lord your God has commanded you. You are not to turn aside to the right or the left. Follow the whole instruction of the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live, prosper, and have a long life in the land you possess. Deuteronomy chapter 6. This is the command, the statutes and ordinances the Lord your God has instructed me to teach you, so that you may follow them in the land you are about to enter and possess. Do this so that you may fear the Lord your God all your days of your life, by keeping all his statutes and commands I am giving you, your son and your grandson, and so that you may live and may have a long life. Listen, Israel, and be careful to follow them, so that you may prosper and multiply greatly, because Yahweh, the God of your fathers, has promised you a land flowing with milk and honey. Listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These words that I am giving you today are to be in your heart. Repeat them to your children. Talk about them when you sit in your house and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them be a symbol on your forehead. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. When the Lord your God brings you into the land he swore to your fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he would give you a land with large and beautiful cities that you did not build, houses full of every good thing that you did not fill them with, wells dug that you did not dig, and vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. And when you eat and are satisfied, be careful not to forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the place of slavery. Fear Yahweh your God, worship him, and take your oaths in his name. Do not follow other gods, the gods of the peoples around you, for the Lord your God, who is among you, is a jealous God. Otherwise, the Lord your God will become angry with you and wipe you off the face of the earth. Do not test the Lord your God as you tested him at Massah. Carefully observe the commands of the Lord your God, the decrees and statutes he has commanded you. Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight, so that you may prosper, and so that you may enter and possess the good land the Lord your God swore to give your fathers, by driving out all your enemies before you, as the Lord has said. When your sons ask in the future, what is the meaning of the decrees, the statutes, and ordinances which the Lord our God has commanded you? Tell him, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand. Before our eyes the Lord inflicted great and devastating signs and wonders on Egypt, on Pharaoh and all his household. But he brought us from there in order to lead us in and give us the land that he swore to our fathers. The Lord commanded us to follow all these statutes and to fear the Lord our God for our prosperity always, and for our preservation as it is today. Righteousness will be ours if we are careful to follow every one of these commands before the Lord our God, as he has commanded us. Instruction from Moses, right? Re-instructing. Here we have the Ten Commandments again. We have the idea of loving the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? We find out in the New Testament that's the most important commandment. Christ says, yeah, someone asks Christ, a rabbi asks Christ, what's the most important commandment? And Jesus asks him, what do you think? And he answers this one, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. And Jesus says, that's right. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. So what is something about Christianity that you know you need to be in step with, that you know that, hey, I'm not really being the best ambassador for the grace that's within me. How do you need to come away changed a little bit today? How do you need to be reminded of what the Word says about how we should be living and speaking and doing, and how our attitude should be with others, how that we should be showing love, grace, and mercy everywhere we go? How do we need to be more in step with the Holy Spirit today? It's a great question for you to ponder, as Moses had the whole Israelite community ponder what they already knew as well too. I hope this has been a blessing to you. Go on out, be a blessing to those around you, and I'll see you tomorrow as we continue in Deuteronomy. Have a great day.